Noise Marines. The Emperor's Children easily rank among Warhammer 40k's weirdest and most disturbing factions. These Chaos Space Marines worship Slaanesh, the dark god of extreme pleasure and pain. Before their corruption, they were the Imperium's most elegant perfectionists with Fulgrim as their Primarch, but that obsession spiraled into madness, chasing wilder thrills until their senses burned out and normal reality felt completely numb. To feel anything at all, they weaponized lethal sound. They became Noise Marines, forming literal rock bands that turn battlefields into horrifying, deadly concerts. Their ultimate goal is to see how many audience members they can slaughter before the musical set ends. This peaked during a chaotic concert called the Maravilla. While watching a corrupted symphony aboard their flagship, the music drove the Legion into a violent frenzy. Space Marines jumped onto the stage, grabbed strange new instruments, and began firing devastating sonic waves into the crowd, marking the literal birth of the Noise Marines. Since then, they ditched their purple armor for a riot of clashing neon pinks, purples, and wild animal prints. This outrageous look is embraced by notorious splinter warbands like the Flawless Host, the Angels of Ecstasy, and the Children of Torment, who take to the battlefield like rival rock bands. Each squad, led by a frontman known as a disharmonist, operates like a twisted orchestra, shredding through enemies with rapid-fire sonic blasters, while heavy weapons specialists wield blastmasters, unleashing low-frequency bass waves that rupture enemy organs. Noise Marines have heavy guns wired directly into their nervous systems. Firing these weapons pumps raw ecstasy straight into their brains. To these mutated Marines, the horrific screaming and exploding bodies sound like beautiful music. The Inquisition's radical factions. The Imperium's secret police possesses unlimited authority to investigate and execute anyone threatening humanity, yet its weirdest and most terrifying members belong to the radical factions. These Inquisitors have decided that standard methods are useless, choosing instead to experiment with the exact horrors they were recruited to destroy. Radicals share the Inquisition's goal of protecting humanity from chaos, xenos, and heresy, but their methods are pure madness. Xanthites believe chaos can be weaponized, attempting to use demonic power as a tool without being consumed by it. Harusians try to replicate the dark power that corrupted Horus, hoping to channel it into a vessel that serves the Imperium. Meanwhile, Oblationists perform mass sacrifices of psychers to feed the Emperor's psychic fuel. These are not isolated lunatics, but formal schools of thought with active, secret programs. The Istvanians take this bizarre logic to a grimdark extreme. They believe peace makes humanity weak and complacent, and that the Imperium only grows strong under total, existential suffering. To ensure humanity stays strong, they actively start wars and prolong bloody conflicts. They orchestrate planetary slaughter with full legal authority, completely convinced they are doing the right thing. This creates a paranoid, secret civil war. Strict Puritan Inquisitors hunt radicals for their heresy, while radicals assassinate Puritans whom they view as too rigid to be effective. They use surveillance and executions against each other in the dark. In fact, for many Inquisitors, hunting their own colleagues isn't just a side project, it is their primary job. Genestealer cults doing normal jobs. Genestealer cults are alien tyrannid infiltration networks, but their weirdest trait isn't their extra arms, it's how exceptionally good they are at running local businesses. To prepare planets for a galactic alien invasion, these sleeper agents spend generations disguised as totally normal citizens. They organize labor unions, run charities, and manage local infrastructure better than anyone else. The nightmare begins with a single gene stealer infecting a human host. Across generations, the children become alien hybrids bound to a psychic hive mind centered on the Patriarch, the oldest, purest alien monster. Instead of a terrifying tyrant, the Patriarch acts like a beloved community leader. The cult focuses on creating a happy, stable population because it is easier to grow and hides perfectly from the Inquisition. These cultist front businesses outperform all human competitors. Their mining cooperatives hold the best safety records in the space sector. Their dock workers' guilds pay high wages and settle disputes peacefully. Citizens willingly join these groups because life is genuinely better under them. The alien infection spreads secretly through a friendly handshake or a shared meal between co-workers who have bonded for decades. Even the cult's deformed hybrids, like the muscle-bound aberrants, are taken care of. They are hidden away in night shift maintenance, sewage infrastructure, and deep shaft mining. The cult treats them with family warmth, utilizing their strength to build massive underground tunnels. By the time the alien hive fleet arrives to consume the planet, the cult has run the local economy so efficiently that the Imperial Society has no idea its friendly neighborhood workers are about to open the planetary gates. Blood Angels Death Company. The Blood Angels are celebrated as noble, artistic space vampires, but their weirdest trait is a psychic curse that occasionally forces them to completely lose their minds. This genetic defect causes warriors to hallucinate that they are their own dead demigod dad from 10,000 years ago. The Space Marines who succumb to this madness are grouped into the Death Company, painted in black armor and thrown at the enemy. This bizarre affliction is called the Black Rage. It is a psychic wound caused by their Primarch, Sanguinius, being brutally murdered by the traitor Horus during a galactic civil war. The trauma permanently warped the chapter's biology. A Marine falling into the rage believes he is Sanguinius on the enemy flagship, fighting the final moments of his life. To him, every opponent is Horus. He is fighting a battle that ended millennia ago and will not stop until he dies. During the devastation of Baal, a massive alien Tyranid swarm invaded their home planet. Facing total extinction, the Blood Angels united the crazed death companies from multiple brother chapters. This ocean of black-armored lunatics was unleashed into the front lines, tearing into the aliens with suicidal ferocity to buy the rest of the planet time to build defenses. To make this grim situation weirder, a holy warrior called a chaplain accompanies them to battle to manage the hallucination. He screams religious verses from Sanguinius's last stand, guiding their delusion so they sprint toward the actual enemy instead of their friends. Because they are fighting the worst nightmare in their history, Death Company Marines ignore fatal wounds and attack with terrifying, suicidal ferocity. Sadly, this curse is worsening with every generation. Gabriel Seth, leader of a successor chapter of the Flesh Tearers, has stated that his warriors are actively going extinct from within due to this madness. Adeptus Mechanicus. The Adeptus Mechanicus are the Imperium's engineers and scientists, but they are far from normal tech support. This weird religious order of cyborgs replaces so much of their flesh with mechanical parts that many are no longer biologically human. They believe the human body is just a deeply flawed prototype that should be aggressively upgraded, viewing cold machine knowledge as the ultimate holy state. Their god is the Omnissiah, the divine spirit of the machine. They don't speak to their god, they transmit prayers in binary code and bless hardware with sacred oils. They believe every machine contains a machine spirit, an actual consciousness that must be respected. When a tech priest whispers to a broken tank engine, he isn't being metaphorical. He sincerely believes the tank can hear him. During the War of the Beast, tech priests literally tried to teleport an entire Ork attack moon into Earth's orbit just to harvest its alien technology, completely ignoring the extreme danger to humanity. This highlights their dark secret. The Mechanicus hoards ancient databases called STCs in private archives. They routinely refuse to share this advanced tech, leaving the rest of the Imperium to fight with primitive weapons because they believe the knowledge belongs to them alone. Their frontline soldiers, the Scutari, are heavily augmented humans who have had their higher brain functions suppressed. They are wired directly into a central command network. To the Mechanicus, erasing free will is simply a massive upgrade to the human design. Night Lords. These are 8-foot-tall Chaos Space Marines, and they are essentially galactic boogeymen who exist solely to terrify entire planets into complete paralysis. Their bizarre obsession with psychological warfare stems from their Primarch, Conrad Kurz, a psychic who saw only darkness in the future and decided the universe should match his twisted nightmares. Kurz grew up alone on a pitch-black planet, ruling as a brutal vigilante who stopped crime by leaving mutilated bodies in public spaces. When the Emperor recruited him, Kurz's legion adopted these horrific methods wholesale. Before a battle even begins, the Night Lords spend days broadcasting the recorded screams of their victims across all radio frequencies. They float the bodies of captured scouts through orbit for maximum psychological impact, breaking a planet's sanity before landing a single troop. During the Thramas Crusade, they systematically tortured entire star systems just to bait and distract a loyalist army. Kurz's death is the ultimate definition of the Night Lord's twisted logic. After having psychic visions of his own assassination by an Imperial Calidus assassin, he did not fight back. He simply sat in a dark room, let her execute him, and used his final breaths to argue that his cruel methods were no different than the Emperor's. He literally died just to prove a philosophical point. His legion did not even bother to avenge him. Instead, they fractured into thousands of separate independent warbands united only by their love of darkness and spreading absolute fear. The Leagues of Votann. These are sturdy, clone-engineered descendants of ancient human settlers who have been meticulously maintaining the galaxy's most intricate grudge database for millennia. Every enemy they've ever encountered is recorded in this system. The kin are practical to their core. They clone themselves to keep their population in check and run their society with a level of precision that would make even imperial bureaucrats look careless. At the heart of it all are the ancestor cores, or massive quantum intelligences that house the collective wisdom of the entire kin civilization. They serve as the closest thing the leagues have to deities and have been operational for so long that some have developed what can only be described as quirky personalities. The kin regard this with a blend of respect and practicality. After all, the machine is ancient and has earned its right to be a little odd. Ork Speed Freeks. Ork Speed Freeks are a bizarre subculture of green-skinned aliens who are so completely obsessed with velocity that they have turned driving fast into a literal religion. Their weirdest trait is their collective psychic ability. If enough orcs strongly believe something is true, reality bends to match their expectations, because millions of orcs collectively believe that red rides go faster, and so their vehicles travel faster simply by being painted red. Most speed freaks belong to the Evil Sons clan, a group that views winning a battle at normal speeds as an embarrassing failure. Their vehicles are welded together out of stolen human scrap metal and mismatched parts into shapes that defy standard engineering, often exploding from sheer mechanical strain. This madness was shown during the Third War for Armageddon, where an entire speedwa of millions of vehicles raced across the desert planet, caring more about outspeeding each other than fighting the humans. Another iconic figure was Daka Gutsmech even drove his heavily modified warbike off a cliff, crashed through the cockpit of a flying human Titan war machine, and slaughtered the crew mid-air just to prove his bike was the fastest. Because orcs have incredibly durable biology, speed freaks treat horrific crashes as a badge of honor rather than a setback. A biker who walks away from 40 catastrophic impacts isn't discouraged. He and his friends genuinely believe he has just become better at crashing. This means they have spent thousands of years escalating their dangerous racing culture with absolutely no intention of slowing down. Thanks for watching until the end. Click here to check out another video and see you in the next one.